Hi, Paul Osborne, and welcome to the auction wrap-up for the 12th and 13th of December. Another heavy weekend out there in terms of auction numbers. We are getting very close to Christmas, so one of the last weekends for people to either buy or sell their property. 570 Brunswick Street in North Fitzroy, we start off first. This property passed in at 602,500. Reserve of 615 was quoted between 560 and 600,000. Didn't seem like too far from being bad value. And 52 Reed Street in North Fitzroy, not the most beautiful townhouse in my opinion. That sold for $920,000 against no quote price. Also in North Fitzroy, 848 Brunswick Street, that sold for $890,000 after being picked up for $545 back in 2005. Hadn't been a little updated since then. And 87 Holden Street, North Fitzroy, which sold for $805,000 with no quote. A property that seemed like pretty good value to me was 26 Laura Street, North Fitzroy. This sold for $499,999. Most likely a first home buyer with that property. It was purchased for $286,550 in 2002, but there was a good opportunity to add value to that townhouse and a good way to enter the market for those looking for something under $500. 53 Reed Street, North Fitzroy, that sold for $740,000, no quote price there, and 205 Moore Street, Fitzroy, sold for reasonably good value, $615,000. It was a one-bedroom property which held it back against a quote of $570,000 to $625,000. In North Carlton, 298 Station Street. This was a really good property on a corner, good position, sold for $1,320,000. It was purchased back in 2004 for $815,000, so a good bit of growth. I still thought that was reasonably good buying in the marketplace for the accommodation that property had. And 401 Station Street, North Carlton, sold for $780,000. Started really low. This property was a three-bedroom place. Not the most attractive facade at present, but certainly freestanding and had a really good chance for the purchaser to come in, add their own value to the place, and put some value back into that particular piece of real estate. 368 Canning Street, North Carlton, sold for $820,000. It was quoted between $750,000 and $800,000. Back in 2005, was purchased for $595,000. I thought that place was actually pretty good value. Terrific spot, not far from Curtin Square and the village there in Rathdown Street. Quite an attractive home. Did have the bathroom at the rear of the place, which I'm sure was a little bit of a negative in the selling campaign, but not a bad purchase there, I thought, at all. 559 Drummond Street, North Carlton, quoted between $670,000 and $720,000. Sold undisclosed. I'm sure they were hoping for a bit more there. Sold more towards the bottom end than the top end of the range. And 24 Dorrit Street in Carlton, passed in at $1,125,000 vendor bid. A long way from home. Reserve is $1.5 million there. 330 to 332 Cardigan Street, Carlton, sold for $1,380,000. Quoted between 1.35 and 1.45. I'm sure there they were expecting maybe a little bit better than that. It did sell for $1,180,000 in 2008 in a pretty tough marketplace. Back then it did struggle the last time it was offered. Quite a different configuration for a property. In East Melbourne, 2 at 69 Powlett Street, sold incredibly well, $880,000 for this Art Deco two-bedroom place. There was something really special about it, and that is why it sold for far and above its original quote price. It was a pretty scarce piece of real estate, and the marketplace decided to compete to those levels on Saturday. 181 to 189 Gibbs Street in East Melbourne, passed in at $6,110,000. We'll be talking a little bit more about that in the next couple of days with Rob, who's our builder here, and that was, in my opinion, probably a little, I didn't quite tick all the boxes from my end. discuss that shortly a little more in detail. In Northcote, number 19, Bird Avenue, sold for $673, quoted between $6 to $650. I thought there was some good value in that purchase there with some of the results we had seen in Northcote. Northcote of the Thornbury on Saturday really had some turnover. There was a lot of auctions that took place. 5 Latham Street, Northcote, sold for $960, purchased back in 2006 for $710, so a healthy gain, but still a reasonably good purchase there. And the big one was 88 Cunningham Street in Northcote, which sold for $2,020,000, which was a big Victorian mansion in Northcote. Clifton Hill, number 9, Heidelberg Road, that sold for an undisclosed sum. $7 to $770 was the quote, a fair bit more than that particular purchase took place. And in Brunswick, 104 Edward Street, sold for $575, quoted between $5 to $550. One in from the corner of Ewing Street. I didn't think that was a particular bad pickup for the purchaser with that property. 239 Victoria Street, Brunswick, passed in 800, vendor bid, reserve 880,000. A lot of accommodation with his home, freestanding, weatherboard Victorian property, 4-bedroom, which is hard to find. Busier location though, and the market just didn't quite think that that property was worth that on Saturday. 959 Park Street, Brunswick, sold for $779,000. I thought that was a reasonably good, reasonably healthy price for that piece of real estate, quoted between $610 and $660. There was one auction down the road, which is 887 Park Street, Brunswick West. That sold for $920,000. I actually thought that was a really good buy. Big block of land, very attractive period home on there. And a little bit further down, that one at 959 Park Street, I thought was on the other flip side of that, quite a lot of money for that particular property. 113 Western Street, that sold for $891, quoted between $690 and $760, so quite a healthy price paid there. Certainly anything between Glenline Road and Brunswick Road at the moment is really strong. North-facing backyard, quite an attractive Victorian brick home, but not without its pitfalls. It did have a lot of work that would need to be done to that. So big money there for that home. A block of flats which are few and far between in the marketplace, sold at 881 Park Street. So that was 1 to 6, so 6 apartments. That sold for $2,620,000, which was such a strong price to pay. Blocks of flats are really getting premiums, and people are paying more than pretty much those units are worth individually to buy and get the privilege of owning a whole block. So it'll be interesting to see whether those people that buy that try to subdivide and sell off, or whether they're going to just lease out and keep as an investment. And last up, 11 Glen Morgan Street, Brunswick East, had a really good feel about this home. Quite an attractive property as well, and sold really strongly on Saturday for $740,000. Well, that's all from the auction wrap-up. We'll see you again after next weekend, winding down towards Christmas, only a little bit more to go.